Hello and welcome to this hobby video. I have been sent some stuff by Warfactor.eu. Now these look a little bit weird, and why have I got a box of Mark IV Tactical Marines? Well, those of you who have some Mark IV Tactical Marines and some of the newer Marks, the Mark III and the Mark VI, will be aware that these are shorter. They are a different scale to the newer miniatures, and if they're on the same height bases, they are noticeably smaller, stood next to the newer ones, which can be a bit jarring. Now, what Warfactor have done is made some little heightening things that you put between the torso and the legs to make them taller, and they've sent me some samples, and there are different heights: 1mm, 1.5mm, 2mm, and 3mm. So I am going to get some legs, get some torsos, and try them out. Okay, so I've got 5 sets of legs. One with a 3mm, a 2mm, a 1.5, and a 1. I have to say though, either that's not 2mm or that's not a 3mm. That is a lot bigger than that. It's more than 1mm bigger, so I'm not sure what's what there. But either way, we also have a control. Ideally, it would all be the same sets of legs, but I think this is close enough for our purposes. So I'm going to tack them on with a tiny amount of super glue. So here they are tacked on. Okay, so 3mm, 2mm, 1.5, 1, and nothing. Right, let's put the torsos on. Okay, so stood next to each one on the blue bases are Mark VI Marines. So the 3mm, pretty indistinguishable in terms of height. The 2mm, slightly shorter. Same for the 1.5. A fair amount for the 1. And yeah, clearly quite a bit for the control. And viewed from above, they look pretty much just the same. However, the trick then is when you look at them side on, there is... Where's the camera? Why isn't it zooming? There we go. Come on. Come on, zoom. Right, you see, I'm holding the camera with one hand and the model with another. I try and zoom it with my nose. Has that worked? It has not. Okay, so... There we go, that's better. There's clearly a bit of a gap. If you line these two up next to each other, there's clearly more of a gap in between them, and this is the 1mm. It looks, a little bit like sort of it's just leaning forward and the armour is separating slightly. Looks a bit odd if you know it's there, but probably not so much if you don't. The 1.5, that starts to get a little more pronounced, but when you're looking at it from above, which most people will be, not so much. The 2 a bit further, I mean, there's clearly a big gap there. And wait for it, the 3mm seriously requires some green stuff work. So I'm discounting these two because I don't want to have to green stuff around everything. Although the 2 isn't so bad. The 2 is pretty good from above. It's if you look at it side on. Again, it's that sort of if you know it's there kind of thing. But actually, if you're looking at it from the back, you can actually see quite a bit of the join. So the 2, not so much. I'm now need to decide which of these two I want to use. So I think I'm going to go for the 1mm ones, because there's quite a noticeable difference between these two, the Control and the large-scale Marine, the Mark IV. But these two next to each other don't look so different, and these two next to each other don't look so different. And any side-on views, it doesn't quite look so jarring with the waist. So I think I'm now going to build the unit up with the 1mm and see what they look like. And here we have the fruits of my labour. Well, actually, the fruits of a whole bunch of labours in my next batch of Ultramarines. But these are the 10 that I have just built with the spacers. And actually, here's another 10 I also built with the spacers. They are veterans. These are the spoilers. But I've got them stood next to some heavy Marines. And honestly, when you put them right next to each other and look at them like that, there is clearly still a difference. You know, this is clearly an amount shorter than the other, but it is less pronounced than on the other Mark IVs I've got. Now, I would put the other Mark IVs next to them to illustrate that point. However, I have them all on scenic bases, and the scenic bases are all different sizes, so that also helps make them not stand out quite so much, but doesn't allow for a direct comparison like this. The other thing, though, is if you just look at it from a slight angle, they do look pretty similar. The differences are not so pronounced from the sort of looking down point of view, which is where we're going to be when we're playing games. And I definitely think the spacers do help make a difference. And obviously, yes, you don't have to use spacers. You can put anything you like in that gap to try and increase it, but they are uniform. They're available in specific sizes, and yeah, you don't have to mess about with putty or anything like that. It's just clip and stick. Now, one thing I did notice whilst I was doing them is the concave curve of the spacers isn't quite the same shape as the top of the legs. So instead of getting a complete, sort of flat, flush fix to them, it sort of connects in like a ring. The sort of connection point is around the way. I imagine just a little bit of filing could make that a stronger contact, but of course that would also reduce the distance. And what I suspect actually is that the height I'm getting from these, right, whilst it's the 1mm spacers, because of that additional concave, I'm actually getting closer to if it were flush, to what 2mm would look like. So, yeah, and that I haven't really got a follow-up to that. That's not neither a good thing nor a bad thing. It's just the way it is. I'm also... This is my assembly desk you're seeing now. It's on a little sort of TV table in front of the TV. Little insight into my home. There's George, the wooden Aranda that my parents bought me when I graduated university. And she can't get up on this. Well, she can. She sort of comes and sits here, but doesn't get up on here, so doesn't interrupt videos. But, I mean, she's trying, aren't you? Little horror. Oh, it's so gorgeous. I know. And so there we have it. Those are the spacers from Warfactor for Mark IV Marines, to make them look different degrees of less short than the current Mark VI and Mark III range. Hope you enjoyed this video, found it useful. Shout out to Warfactor for sending these through to me to try out. Thanks, guys. Much appreciado. Thank you to all my channel members and Patreons who support me. You guys are wonderful. Thank you to Lemmy for, like walking across my belly, which she does like regularly. Don't you little horror? And on that note, see you in the next one, folks. Bye for now.